Good evening, everybody. Wow. We give thanks to God for a new day, and we've got one more day to the end of the year. Hasn't God been very faithful? Today is December 30th. Today is December 30th. In fact, in some countries now, they are already on the 31st day of the year. God has been faithful to us. And so I'm glad to be alive. And I believe you're also glad to be alive. It's been 364 days of God's faithfulness to us. And so we'll give thanks to God for preserving our lives and for helping us. Today is the 38th edition of Value Systems Makeover. Good evening, Sars and Ma, Sister Fumi, Sister Anita, Sister Iko. This is the first time I'm seeing her live, and I believe it's quite late now in the UK. It should be a few minutes, like 10:33 in the UK now. And so we've had a very explosive, very powerful sessions in the last 30 days. I've been coming on every day to deal with very, very sensitive issues. And certainly speaking, a book is going to come out of this series next year. A book is going to come out of it. We want to put the book in the hand of everybody and make it go viral and change the mindset of our people, change the mindsets of Africans and Nigerians in particular. And so today is another season. Tomorrow is the last day for this series before we start another in the new year. So we want to look at a very, very important issue of national and global interests. And that is the issue that I have defined as using what we make, or making what they make, using what they make, using what we make, or using what they make. Which one is the pathway to national transformation and societal development? Do we continue to use what other people are making, or do we graduate to a stage where we are using what we are making? And so there are two types of countries in this world. There are import-dependent countries, and there are exports-dependent countries. And the vast majority of African countries today depend on the West for survival in several areas. And there is a value system issue related to that. An average African man is not a producer. I apologize for that very blanket statement I've made. That doesn't mean that there are no great producers among Africans. There are great producers in Africa, wonderful women doing wonderful things, wonderful men, but the vast majority of Africans are consumers, are not producers. And on the converse, people in the West, we have more producers in the West than we have in Africa. And so until something is done to revamp our mindset, to revamp our value system, we will forever continue to depend on people living in the West for virtually everything we need. And so this evening, we want to look at a very important subject. I trust the Holy Spirit to give me utterance. Whether I'm teaching in a secular manner, or I'm doing scripture, whatever, I still believe that I need the Holy Spirit. And so I commit my voice and my words and everything. Ultimately, I want people to change. Ultimately, I want our nations to change. I want men and women to be empowered, to be invigorated, and to be inspired and motivated to achieve their dreams. And ultimately, for the kingdom of God to be established in our nation, all across Africa, and particularly from where I came from, which is Nigeria. That's my ultimate agenda and goal. And that's the reason why I believe the Lord gave me this idea to do a 31-day of value system discussions and makeover. Now, let me tell you something. I've been using Nigeria as a case study for the past few weeks now, even though I have made the entire African continent my generic case study, but I've chosen Nigeria, being the largest country, as my case study. And I have done that because Nigeria is the largest, probably the largest economy as well. And If the largest number of people can be changed, there is a very high probability that we can change the entire Africa. There is a research that I have, a research finding that I have used extensively in my personal research, in my consulting work. And it is a national cultural research. Every country in the world has a national culture. National culture. So there are people that have come together to understand the way people behave. It is called national culture. So there is a way Japanese behave. There is a way Canadians behave. There is a way Ghanaians behave. There is a way Americans behave. So some scientists have come together and they have put together a concept. It's a national cultural concept. You can go on Google and check this. So there is one man called Hofstede. 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 So he has done an extensive work on identifying the different culture that different countries have across the globe. So when they came to Nigeria, they did the same thing for so many African countries. So when they came to Nigeria, they used 5 different indices. And so I'm going to pick 2 of the indices so that you can know the kind of people that Nigerians are. I'm a Nigerian too. So I want you to know the kind of people we have. Now, there is an index called long-term orientation. It is a measure of national culture or national value system. It is called long-term orientation. That is the ability of people in any nation to be strategic, the ability to plan for the future, the ability to think of the next generation, the ability to think 100 years, the ability to think 200 years. It is called long-term orientation. They apply this index to every country of the world, not just Nigeria. They measure the Americans on the long-term orientation index. They measure the Koreans on the long-term orientation index. And so they came up with a value between 0 and 100. A value of between 0 and 100 on long-term orientation. Listen to this. On the scale of 0 to 100, in the context of long-term orientation, Nigeria scored 13%. 13%. That is 1-3. What does this mean to an average Nigerian? It means that the culture, the national culture, the way of mind, the mindset of everybody in Nigeria, everybody in Nigeria, an average person in Nigeria, their mindset is normative instead of pragmatic. People in a Nigerian society, they will have strong concern with establishing the truth. Did you hear that? People in a Nigerian society will have problem with the truth. I mean, these are white people who did the research. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. These are white people. They had no affiliation with any church. They had no affiliation with any political party. They don't live in Nigeria. They just used scientific methods. They gathered samples. They interviewed people. They looked at examples of what is happening, and they did some analysis, did some research, and came up with a research finding that Nigerians score 13% on the index of long-term orientation. And that is expressed in these ways. Number one, another Nigerian man or woman will have problem with the truth. This is amazing. Is that not what we have been talking about for the past how many weeks, how many days now? And many other progressive have been talking about this issue of truth. Truth. And now a white person, a white scholar, came from the US and did research, an independent research work, and came out with a scientific evidence that Nigerians don't like to hear the truth. They have concern. Anything that has to do with the truth, they will reject it. This is a very sad narrative of our beloved country. Number 2, on the scale of long-term orientation, they said, and I quote, they exhibit great respect. Nigerians exhibit great respect for traditions. They have a small propensity for saving for the future. And they always focus on achieving quick results. Did you hear that? They have very small propensity for saving for the future. And they always focus on achieving quick results. That is what long-term orientation means. So when you see politicians, when you see pastors, when you see industrialists, when you see people in position of authority stashing money in Switzerland, stealing money, diverting money, because they are normative in their thinking. They do not have a very high score on long-term orientation. Put in a simple way, they are not strategic in their mind. And that is the difference between many third world countries and many developed countries. They plan for the next generation. They plan for the next 100 years. They plan for posterity. They build for 1,000 years. So that is long-term orientation. Nigeria scored 13%. One of the lowest in the world. One of the lowest in the world. The second index that they used is called indulgence. On the scale of indulgence, you must score very low to be a good country. You must score very low. So they measured indulgence between 0 and 100 too. So you must score very low to be considered a good society. Nigeria scored 84% on indulgence. 84%. 84%. One of the highest scores in the world. Let me tell you what indulgence is. People who live in societies with very high score on the index of indulgence, they exhibit high impulse for enjoying life and having fun. Isn't that very, very sarcastic and very funny? People that have very high score on the scale of indulgence, they like having fun and enjoying life. Now, there is nothing wrong in enjoying life and having fun, but the way they have written it here is in a very sarcastic manner. In other words, they will devote a vast majority of the time on enjoyment. Isn't that what we see across the length and breadth of the country? Politicians, religious leaders, everybody is looking for what to do to enjoy life. The definition of value is in how much of life they enjoy. That is a research finding by an American professor who did not belong to any political party, who is not a member of any church. He said Nigerians score 84% on the scale of indulgence. People in that society, they like enjoying life. You think enjoyment of life is an asset. It is a derogatory comment against anybody. There is nothing wrong with simply enjoying yourself. But the way they have put it here, they are saying that the number one priority for average Nigeria is enjoyment. And any society built on enjoyment, on present gratification, on temporary enjoyment, they can never prosper. It's not a curse. They will continue to depend on societies of smart workers, of hard workers in Japan, in China, in America, in England. That is the problem that we are having now. On the same scale of indulgence, the research said people who live in a Nigerian society, they place a very high premium on having leisure time, always playing. And they always like to spend their money the way they want. They like to spend their money the way they want. Nigerians scored 84% on the scale of enjoyment. And so you celebrate Nigerian, we are the happiest people on earth, and you celebrate. It is not, it seems as if it's a plus. It's not a plus, a minus. Majority of the enjoyment people are enjoying, they are enjoying in the midst of poverty. They are enjoying in the midst of poverty. Many of them are stealing money to enjoy. Many of them are having artificial enjoyment, not natural enjoyment, because they are forcing themselves to enjoy. Many of them are forcing themselves to enjoy. That is the national culture in Nigeria. And that is actually the reason why many people are coming up now with value systems. And I came up with this concept. And I've been doing it for the past 30 days. Value system. Let us change this mindset. Let us change. It is a very difficult work to do. The greatest work you can do in any nation is changing people's mindset. You can change people's clothes. It's very cheap and easy. Go to the market, get a new cloth, put it on them. If it's a new cloth, they will get it from you. You can change shoes, you can change your wristwatch, you can change your computer, you can change anything. To change mindset is warfare. That is why the Bible even says that casting down every imagination and bringing into captivity every thought. So the matter of subduing the thought and the thinking of a man is a matter of warfare. It's very difficult. People have been thinking in a particular direction, and you're telling them this thinking is wrong. You can't just take an eraser and erase their thoughts. They probably had formed that thought for the past 40 years. They have probably formed that thought for the past 30 years. So you don't come in a day and you want to wipe away that thought. In fact, there is something that is called ideology. Ideologies cannot be destroyed. I've spoken to a lot of progressive, a lot of political commentators and scientists, many of whom are working at the very top of national transformation of countries. And they tell me you cannot destroy ideologies. You can only superimpose a superior ideology on an inferior ideology. That is why when they kill a terrorist, terrorism doesn't stop. Their ideologies are transferred to the next man. They just appoint a new head and the thing continues. Because it is not that man that you should kill. It is the movement you should target. And so ideologies cannot be destroyed. The same thing with culture, with value system, with mindset. So what we have to do is to now begin to present superior value system. It is difficult to erase an existing value system if there is a vacuum. So we are now supposed to present superior value system. Superior value system. And we bombard people with superior value system through practice and through theory. We are saying it on the radio, writing it in books, demonstrating it, living it. So on social media, they are reading it. On the radio, they are hearing it. On the TV, they are hearing it. In the books, they are reading it. In classrooms. So that after a period of time, we have superimposed a superior value system on an inferior value system. And one of these value systems that I'm dealing with today that has crippled the African society, Nigeria being one of the worst hits in this issue, is the culture of always depending on other people to produce what you will use. We are virtually consuming what other people are producing. And that is something I want to address this evening. You want to know a nation that is great? Great nations make what they use. Weak nations use what others make. Great nations make what they wear. Weak nations wear what others make. Great nations produce what they eat. Weak nations eat what others produce. Great nations build capacities. Weak nations use capacities. So, anywhere you see a vast proportion of consumerism, consumer mindset, and the level of production is very weak, that country is a weak society. And it is going to destroy the future of many people. And all the efforts that are being put together by leaders in Africa, leaders in Nigeria, to ensure that the things that we are consuming are being produced by us, majority of their efforts are not yielding fruit because they are putting the cart before the horse. The people that are at the vanguard of championing this cause, their mindset and value systems have not been changed. They have not been changed. And so you are most likely going to find yourself in a situation where you are washing people's feet with their socks on. You are washing people's feet with their socks on. So they keep pumping billions. The people that will implement those policies, they steal the billions because their mindsets have not been changed. Let me tell you some of the things that are very, very, very shocking about the African society, particularly about Nigeria. Computer systems and technology, we don't produce. The cars we drive, we don't produce. Academic textbooks, academic journals, the largest proportion of them are produced by foreign authors. We produce very, very minute portion of those things. The clothes we wear, we don't produce, apart from traditional wears that are made. A vast majority of the clothes we wear in Africa and Nigeria, we do not produce them. Nigerians, we buy clothes from Next in London, buy clothes from TM Louis. I have done the same thing myself many times. I'm guilty of the same thing. But when people don't have an option and they do not trust the level of quality of what they will get in their country, they will go for offshore markets. The luxury foods that we eat, we don't produce. I'm not speaking of all the local foods we make, luxury food, all the canned foods that we eat, they are all imported into our countries. We don't produce them. Majority of those things are produced in Turkey, in China, and they ship them and import them to the country. The light bulbs, the pressing irons, the switches, the adapters, all our electrical gadgets, we don't produce. Many of them are produced in China, in Japan, in some part of Asia. The machines that we use, our machineries, printing machine, grinding machine, all the kinds of tools and fixtures that are used in some of our mushroom manufacturing companies, many of them, if not all of them, in fact, all of them are imported into the country. We don't produce. All agricultural equipment that we use, we don't produce. Road construction equipment, we don't produce. Oil and gas equipment, we don't produce. All facilities in our medical clinics, all the tubes, all the injections, all the syringes, all the drugs, we don't produce. All the kitchen materials we use, microwave, gas cooker, stoves, or even our plates, some of our spoons, all of them are produced in China. We don't produce. All our building materials, all our paints, all our brushes, we don't produce. That is the state of the countries that we have in Africa. Nigeria being one of the worst case studies of this thing. How do you expect a society that is 80-90% dependent on importation? How do you expect such society to produce producers? It only takes producers to produce producers. Consumers will find it difficult to produce producers. That is why it is difficult for Nigeria as a country to produce producers. And we have the preponderance of consumers at every level of society, right from cradle to the grave. More than 90% of young people, of adult people, they are all consumers. Not their fault. It only takes a producing nation to produce producers. Consumers don't produce producers. It is going to be very hard. We can pay lip service to it. All kinds of projects, programs, Vision 2020, all of those things are mere lip services that are being paid to so many of these stuffs. But the things that need to be done to ensure that the country become industrialized, we are not doing them. Let me tell you that previously, many years back, countries like China, India, Brazil, Malaysia, they looked up to Africa. They looked up to Nigeria. And many of us are familiar with the story of Malaysia. Malaysia is the world's leader in palm oil and palm kernel products. And history tells us that they picked their products, the original palm kernel that they use, they picked it from Africa, from Nigeria. And they are now the leader in the whole world. China is becoming the largest economy. China and the US now are at a tug of war. And many people are predicting that in the next 1 or 2 years, China will overtake the United States as the largest economy in the world. Because they are producers. They are not just producers, they produce producers. They produce producers. How can Nigeria be a producing country when on the scale of long-term orientation, Nigeria is called 13%. 13%. People in the Nigerian society that's called 13% on the scale of long-term orientation, according to a recent research, they will have a very small propensity for saving for the future. And they will always focus on achieving quick results. So the Nigerian society and many African society are characterized by the culture of quick results. Quick results. And this culture, this value, is in every strata of society. It's in the church, it's in school, it's in politics, it's in medical care. The culture of quick results. Anything that will require a little bit of pain, sacrifice, people will begin to scream and cry. This government is useless. Everybody wants quick results, quick solution, quick fixes. It is a research output, a research finding that many people living in Nigeria, the Nigerian society is known for being a normative society, a society that is not built on being strategic, on having a long-term orientation. Countries like China, India, Brazil, and Malaysia. They are at the forefront of industrialization. I'm going to tell you the damages that these things are doing to our society, to our children, and to many of us that are living abroad. Many of us living abroad think that we are not concerned, we are not bothered, but the pressure is coming on us. The less industrialized our society in Africa is, the worse things are for them, the more burden we carry that live abroad. Because many of us have family members in Africa, and they will pull your clothes. They will send messages to you. They will call you on the phone. You have to sort them out. You have to pay their fees. You have to help them. So indirectly, we are sharing the burden and the pain. Let me tell you something. By the year 2050, the population of Africa has been predicted to double. It's going to double. It's about 2.something billion now. 1.something billion people now, or 1.2 billion people. It's going to double. The dependence on oil and gas is going to come down. A lot of research has been done now to phase out oil. So Nigeria is a country that depends on oil. More than 90% of Nigeria's revenue is derived from oil. Oil is being phased out. Alternative source of energy, coal, solar, hydro, they are not using it now to generate energy. And in the next few years, majority of the people that buy oil from Nigeria, they won't buy it again. And that is why a serious-minded government will start something very proactive to reduce dependence on oil. To reduce dependence on oil. I am not speaking about all these lip service things they are doing. Proactive engagement of the population and of experts. And I'm going to tell you some of the things that we can do. I'm going to narrow down on the church. This is going to be a very explosive session. And by the grace of God, I'm building up. I'm trying to give you a background. Before I land on the church is the kingdom, the kingdom diplomat. I will land on the church very soon. I'll let you know the role of the church. Because you and I are the church. Import-dependent mentality kills any economy. Now, why do you think countries like Japan, Russia, America, the EU, the UK, China, Brazil, India, Malaysia, why do you think they are successful? Why do you think they are successful? And they are able to elevate themselves out of poverty and become industrialized. Number one, the culture and the mindset. We must make what we use. The Chinese people are the best in the whole world. We must make, the only thing the Chinese have not been able to make are human beings. And they didn't start from that. They didn't jump from heaven. We must make what we use. If the society many of us have come out from in Africa, if we've got leaders who are pragmatic, not normative, leaders who have long-term orientation, who are able to put their feet to the ground and say, we must make what we use. And they begin to project that message through different kinds of media. We must make what we use. We must make what we use. The dependence on imports will reduce. And the level of industrialization will begin to improve in the country. But majority of them don't do it. At the slightest provocation, any little health challenge, our leaders carry their bag. They go to Russia. They go to America. They go to England for medical care. The medical facilities are in states of comatose in many of the state hospital, federal hospital, because the people that are the vanguard of leadership, the people who make laws, the people who interpret laws, the people who enforce laws, at the slightest provocation, many of them have private jets, many of them have first class tickets, and they fly to all these countries that are not import dependent like them, and they take advantage of their medical facilities and get themselves treated. The poor man can go and die. The average man can go and die. In fact, the average man is even struggling to find money to pay for some of the poor services they're going to render to him. The services will still be poor, but he's still looking for money to pay for it. And that is why we see so many untimely deaths. Many of the untimely deaths in our nation are not attributed to God. Oh, it is a time. It is not time. God is not the one killing people. It is the system that is killing people. God is not the one calling people home. Many people that died in many of these African countries, including Nigeria, they were not supposed to die when they die. Many of them were the product of bad governance, the product of several decades of mismanagement and gross abuse of power and money. And so when they die, or they get sick and they die after 3 days, die of typhoid, die of cancer, it is the time that God has called them home. It is the will of God. It is most times not the will of God. It is self-inflicted disaster, self-inflicted injury, self-inflicted menace. This is something that you will never hear from the mouth of any sane thinking person in the West. They do everything possible to save people. They do everything possible. They make sure they have done their best before they give up. Not in many of our countries. And one of the reasons for it, the value system. These people in the West, they have this culture. We must make what we use. Even if they have to get some things from other countries, it is very minute. More than 90% of what they are using, they are making it themselves. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to stimulate employment, stimulate production, improve foreign exchange, reduce crime. It has a multi-dimensional impact on the society. The number two reason why these countries, these big countries that we all run to, have been successful is because their environment has been conducive. There is something we call pests. Pests. P-E-S-T-E. Every environment in the world, they are controlled by pests. P-E-S-T-E. Political environment, economic environment, social environment, technology, and the environment itself. Pest environment is a major framework, a major tool that is used all over the world to evaluate an environment. How conducive is the environment? I'm a very good researcher when it comes to searching for information, statistics online. So anytime I need information, I go on the United Nations website, World Bank website. There are two major reports that are released every year about African countries. One of them is called the Ease of Doing Business Report. The Ease of Doing Business Report. The second one is the World Competitive Report. In each of these two reports, hardly will you find any African country among the first 60 countries in the world that are competitive and that people do business with ease. Hardly will you find them. Not even Nigeria. Hardly will you find them. Because the environment itself plays a lot of role. So the environment in the West is more conducive. The environment in Asia is more conducive. So politically, they are more stable. Economically, they are more stable. Socially, they are more stable. Technologically, they are more stable. And the environment itself, natural disaster, they find a way around them. They can manage them very well. They can manage those things very well to the best interest of their country. Number three, private initiatives. Many of these countries that I've mentioned, Japan, America, the EU, the level of private initiative is very high. Private organizations are very strong on CSR. CSR is corporate social responsibility. Every company in today's generation has a responsibility towards society without being told you should spend part of your money, part of your revenue to take care of society. It is called CSR, corporate social responsibility. And so you see private companies, private firms coming together, sponsoring people, paying their school fees, giving money to HIV victims across the US, in Canada, in England, and they do it with joy. They do it with joy. This is a major problem in Nigeria in particular. Majority of the private organizations that have rich people, big companies, big banks, they are very weak in supporting developmental initiatives. They are very weak. Like I said yesterday, they will rather spend billions on useless and irrelevant musical concerts that people that are singing them are writing rubbish and they are singing rubbish. They rather do things that will promote their image. Everything about themselves, about self, how to make more money. Many of these American companies, many of them do some of these things. Some of them too do it because of money, but many of them do it because they want to give back to society. And so private initiatives are at the lowest rate in many African countries. Nigeria is one of the worst. A poor man that has an idea, cannot approach any bank and tell a bank, sponsor me. you are in big trouble. Even when they want to give you a loan, they will give you the loan at neck cracking interest. The interest that will be on that money after 3 months will be in trouble if you cannot pay it back. And so some of these weaknesses damage the capacity of an average African man, average Nigeria. It damages and weakens and paralyzes their capacity to engage in critical thinking. And so this is a problem that I'm going to give some recommendation to today. And some of these things are very funny, I'm going to say, but it's my own recommendation. And I trust God. I'm going to use some of these things to change the mindset of our leaders. Number 4, our educational institutions. Wow. Majority of the syllabus, majority of the structures and systems that we have in Africa, they are producer dependent. The curriculum, the syllabus, the courses, the lectures that students are exposed to, they are not producer dependent, they are consumer dependent. An average Chinese school, an average Japanese school, right from cradle, primary school, they train children to be producers. They give children, young people, experiments, innovative ideas, and they celebrate them. They project them. They invite them. They put them on billboard. A 7-year-old boy has just developed a bicycle that uses electromagnetic whatever. They make sure that their syllabus is focused on being a producer. More than 90% of graduates that come out of Nigerian universities, they know nothing more than theory. They know nothing more than theory. In fact, many years back, while I was in Africa, majority of these big companies, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, they began to complain that all the graduates they employed, they had to retrain them. So Shell in Nigeria began what is called SITP, Shell Training Program. So anybody they employ, they put them directly into a training. 1 year, 2 years training. They retrain them and now begin to train them and add their own values to them. These guys had spent 5 years, 6 years in universities. Who are the people that develop their syllabus? There is a place in Nigeria called, there is a firm called NUC, an organization, National University Commission. They develop syllabuses and programs for students, for colleges, for institutions, and so every university in the country must comply. All the professors, all departments, all courses must comply. They must comply with the details of a particular syllabus. And so any right-thinking leader, any right-thinking government will go to the foundation. Why are we producing young people who are largely consumers, who are not producers? And they will begin to adapt and adopt and change and amend the syllabus using a phased approach. I'm not saying in a year they should clean up all syllabuses. It's not possible. But this thing can be done. If this thing was possible in Singapore, one of my friends came from the US. He does business in Singapore. And he gave me the story of Singapore. Singapore today was worse than the dirtiest village in Nigeria. When he showed me the picture of Singapore, I couldn't believe my eyes. He said they had a leader who had the political will. I will change this nation. I must change this nation. So they started from grassroots, from primary school, education. They were educating their children. They make sure they force people to change. You cannot drop something on the road. They erected structures, all the bus stops, bus terminals. They turned everywhere around. Within 20, 30, 40 years, Singapore became one of the most industrialized nations on earth. So it's not a case of these things are not easy. They are difficult. Nothing is difficult to do when the leaders have the political will and the capacity to do them. When the leader in power has the will to do them, nothing is impossible. So the educational curriculum is a major avenue for value system reorientation. And so look at all the students that go out of Nigeria in particular to study abroad. Go and ask them. Ask them if there is no difference between the quality that they received in England and what they received in Nigeria. Go and ask everybody that has left Nigeria to study in Cyprus, study in South Africa, study even in South Africa. You cannot compare it. You cannot compare the quality. Because when I was in South Africa, I went to the school one day and they were doing induction for part 1 students. Part 1 students. The part 1 students of an engineering program, they just got admission. So after 3 months, they asked all of them to present what they have done. I said, what have they done in part 1? As soon as they entered the university in part 1, in University of Pretoria, they gave all year 1 students a target. Within 3 months, come up with the products and engineering products that you're going to run with for the next 5 years. It's your own brainchild. So everybody began to think, I will do a fan, I will do a TV that can work with water. In the first semester, they brought all of them out in part 1 and they displayed all their products in part 1 first semester. I couldn't believe my eyes. And everybody began to tour. It was a tour. I was doing a tour around all of those equipment. Young people, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, they were already producing heavy duty equipment. 18-year-old, 19-year-old part 1 students in South Africa, not in Japan. So by the time those boys get to part 5, they have become producers. They have become licensed producers. They just go into society and begin to create jobs. Because the quality of education is one of the pillars of industrialization. And that is a major reason why schools in Japan, schools in China, schools in America, schools in England, they produce more producers. They produce more producers. So any right-thinking leader, governor, president, they will focus on catch them young. There was a time I was doing a book on catch them young leadership initiative. And it's a very big project. It's still ongoing. We want to go to grassroots in Africa. If the leaders, if the elders, if they have become crayfish that is difficult to correct, then let's start with the younger ones, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, and begin to brainwash those young ones with sound value system. So when they grow up to become 18, 19, their mindset has changed. That is how a sound thinking set of leader. How many states in Nigeria, for example, do you find governors, do you find leaders developing programs that will change value system? Have you ever heard that before? When last did we hear it? Which state in the country? This is a government-driven initiative, and they found that program. You will not find them doing such, because they spend half of their time doing all kind of nonsense, refunding all the money that they collected, that they were given when they were contesting for election. The next 2 years, they spend it on preparing for the next 4 years. And the destiny of millions of young people are at stake. Now let me tell you something. What do you think can be done to turn the mind of Africans around, Nigerians around, young people, adults, older people, everybody, to start thinking as a producer and not as a consumer? What do we do? Now I've got 7. This is where the debate, the discussion will be very hot. I've got 7 different strategies here. Some of these things are being done at the moment, but let's discuss them. Number 1, policy shifts. Policy shifts. I know that the government of Nigeria has a lot of ministries, policies, and laws that have been made to ensure that the country begins to export. But what is the result? What is the result? It is in a country like Nigeria that a company, Chevron, Shell, will travel out of Nigeria to go and employ expatriates. They will bring the expatriates to Nigeria. I was going to Nigeria about 2 years ago, and I sat in the plane. One white man sat beside me, and we started speaking. I said, who are you? Who are you? So we exchanged pleasantries. He said, he's from Holland, the Netherlands. And he said he works with Shell. I said, why don't you work in Netherlands? Why are you coming to Nigeria? He said, they pay me a lot of money. They pay me a lot of money. I said, what is your work? He said, he flies helicopter. You fly helicopter. So there are no Nigerians can fly helicopter. So they now went to Holland and employ people, pilots, to fly helicopter and bring them to Nigeria. And the guy said they are paying him all kind of money. He works 2 weeks. Sometimes he flies out 2 weeks. They pay, and that is just one person out of hundreds of expatriates. And in the same company, I've got friends who are engineers, trained in Nigerian universities, mechanical engineer from University of Lagos, and they will bring a mechanical engineer from University of Pennsylvania in the US and pay him in dollars and pay a fellow Nigerian in naira. And so, and that attitude is that, well, we don't have a choice. The guy coming from America is better. But you are solving a present problem, but destroy the future of the nation. You will never go to America and see an American man of equal qualification, equal experience, equal degree, being paid lower than a black man. They will never try it. So it is there is a need for a policy shift. The government should start thinking around the policies that will drive creativity, drive innovation inside the mind of young people, and they will begin to pump money into it. The people that are in power today, many of them cannot do it. They have the ability, but they cannot do it, because many of them have their hands soiled already. So if you get into power through corrupt means, all the people that put you there, you have an allegiance towards them. So they keep calling you. We put you there. We funded you. We sponsored you. Share your budget into half. Send the balance to me. I paid your campaign for your campaign. So that is where the problem is. And that is why when I was doing this series, I said, many of you that have the dream, have the vision to be at the vanguard of leadership politically, we should be coming together and should trust God that private investors, people who will be private companies, not politicians, who will willingly want to fund political movement without expecting anything in return. That is what is done in America. They fund those things. Even if you will help them later on, it wouldn't be, if I give you 2 billion, when you get to power, you return it to me. No. It is going to be part of their own contribution to the development of the country. We need 10 people that can contest for governors in this state. How much do you need to fund your project? We need 20 billion. And the company put it down. So you don't need any politician to back you up. So when you get to power, you are not under any obligation. You just take the right decisions. So you want to change policies to favor investment, you change policy. Whether some people are benefiting from something that is harming the society, you do policies that kill that thing. If your own benefit is destroying the whole country, then I kill your benefits. That is the reason why many of our leaders cannot perform. Their hands are soiled. Many of them came in through compromised processes. Many of the processes are compromised and laced with corruption, with inducement, with financial recklessness. That is why they get there. They just pay lip service, and they speak big grammar, big English, and they spend 4 years. You can't point to what they have done. They just do a rigmarole, talk, address pressmen, write newspaper. There is nothing you can point. You come back to the same country. One of my friends went to Nigeria a few weeks ago. He said the country he left 11 years ago, he hasn't gone to Nigeria in 11 years. He said it is even worse. He said the places he went to, he says it's even worse. It is not his fault, because the people that have been in power for all those 11 years, they have passed through the same process, the same compromised process. And when the process is bad, the product will be bad. So policy is one of the backbone of sustainable development, because policy will be backed up by law, and everybody will obey the law. Number 2, knowledge transfer. Knowledge transfer. Now, I've done a subject called knowledge management. In my doctoral study, my thesis was based on knowledge management. So I studied knowledge management extensively. I'm an authority in it. I've read hundreds of papers and articles on knowledge management. How to manage knowledge, how to extract knowledge from people's head, how to store knowledge, how to retrieve knowledge, how to convert knowledge that is hidden in people's head into explicit knowledge. So I don't want to be giving you all those jargons and whatever. But what I'm saying is this: the knowledge that we need to turn everybody in Nigeria in particular to a producer, that knowledge is in the head of some people. Some of these people are not living in Nigeria. Some are living abroad. Nigeria has thousands of medical doctors in America, thousands of teachers, lecturers, people in social care, nurses, consultants, in Australia, in England, in Canada. Nigeria has millions of professionals. Why have they refused to come back home? Why have they refused? Somebody who is being paid $10,000 as salary per month will not come back to Nigeria and hand 100,000 naira. That is madness. He wouldn't do it. So, what a government that is thinking or that can think will do is to establish a kind of a collaboration with foreign expertise and do it in a way to favor local content. So you bring in foreign experts in different industries, and then you create a collaborative platform for people that are in the system to work with them in a way that will favor your own people. You pay those people off, but you extract the knowledge in the head of the experts and domicile that knowledge in your own country. And you create what we call a knowledge hub, or we call it communities of practice. Communities of practice. That is, in each industry, in medicine, in manufacturing, in engineering, in lecturing, you create hubs across the country. Hubs, institutes, hubs, where people come together. The government will be funding those institutes, funding them. All the mechanical engineers that have 10 years and above experience, that have ideas. Any idea you have, bring that idea to number 4, so street, and meet with all the mechanical engineers. Sit down and brainstorm. And the government will fund it and will pay them per hour, pay them per month, so you can pay them for their time. And in that environment, you bring foreign experts who sit down with those guys and they speak, they discuss, they collaborate. And in so doing, there will be technology transfer and knowledge transfer. They capture those knowledge and domicile that knowledge in the country. That is what people in America are doing. There was a time in Toyota. Let me tell you that story. Toyota was struggling with General Motors. Toyota is in Japan. GM is in America. So GM and Toyota are always competing. They are competitors. And so one year, the MD of Toyota, he created an idea box in one office in Toyota company. And he told all the employees, from the cleaner to the security man, everybody, so any idea that you think can promote Toyota, write it in a paper. Make it anonymous. Don't put your name there. And drop it in the idea box. Everybody must drop. So they made it a level playing field. Anybody, we need you, we believe in you. Within a week, the box was full. So they bring together experts in the company, engineers, accountants, people who will do assessments, financial analysis, and they examine each idea one after the other. And they sift through it, they screen through them, and came up with a set of dangerous ideas that will turn Toyota to the best in the world. Within 1 year, Toyota overtook GM and became the most efficient, biggest manufacturer of cars. Because when you meet together with people physically, or you ask them to write something down, you are drawing the knowledge in them. And that knowledge must be domiciled. You must make sure you trap and domicile it. This is my area of expertise. If I speak with you for 1 hour, I have a method I can use to collect your knowledge. And when I collect, I will domicile it. I keep it, and not your idea. I mean your knowledge, as in knowledge. If not stealing people's idea, that's against the law. I mean your knowledge. If you teach me something, that thing you have taught me is a knowledge you have given to me. I will not lose that. I will keep it somewhere. So we have a scientific method of keeping knowledge. So we keep them in knowledge hubs, and there are ways of preserving them and spreading that knowledge, populating the entire society with that knowledge. This is what is done in advanced countries in the world. So you see, when the Japanese are doing show, science show, manufacturing show, they are creating a knowledge hub. And so people are watching on the TV, they are listening on the radio, they are spreading that knowledge across the country. And so that will be provoking other people who aspire to be like those scientists to be like them. So that's a major area that can help a country like Nigeria to become a producer and not a consumer. You need knowledge. The unfortunate thing is this: Nigeria as a country has thousands of professors, many of whom have schooled in Harvard, schooled in Oxford. They have a lot of knowledge. But according to a professor that attended his seminar many years back, the man said, He said there is a theory called the knowing-doing gap. The knowing-doing gap. He said there is a gap between what people know and what they do. He said, if you do everything you know, you will be super successful. But in our world today, there is always a gap between what people know and what they do. And the widest of that gap is in Africa. A lot of professors that have written papers and articles, you see them behaving sometimes worse than literates. You see them behaving worse than literates. Because there is no framework, there is no structure, there is no policy that can create a consistent knowledge hub, enabling environment to trap the knowledge in the head of these guys and put them to use for the betterment of society. And that is one of the things that I have been speaking about in the last 30 days. The role of the government. Number 4, the syllabuses and lecture notes, lecture materials in our colleges and universities, they must be transformed in a phased approach. Many of these theories that are being taught people are no longer needed. When I was in year 1 in the university in Nigeria, I did 17 courses. Year 2, 16 courses. Year 3, 15 courses. When I came abroad, I spoke to people who were in year 1. How many courses are you doing? They tell me 8 courses, 7 courses. I said, but I did 17 courses. Because the average African man believes in quantity at the expense of quality. All kinds of irrelevant courses that you don't need. So they bombard the student with irrelevant courses, and they think they are building you up, giving you all kind of irrelevant things you don't need. Irrelevant knowledge. Irrelevant knowledge. What is the end result? The people who do 7 courses, they are producers. Those who do 17 courses, they are consumers. It is not the quantity of theories that people pile up in their head that make them to change their society. It is the quality of what they have known and how easy it is for them to apply those things to change society. So, nothing has been done to transform the current universities. The government keeps giving new licenses. They keep opening new universities. And that is the mentality of an average African man. Let us keep expanding. Let's keep expanding. The bigger we are, the better we are. That is what is killing Africa. Size does not equal impact. Size does not equal impact. Go to Oxford University in Britain and look at the size of that school. Compare it with any Nigerian university. You can pick 20 Oxfords. 20 Oxford. You can pick it from Uniben in terms of size. An African man will have 500 acres of land and big universities. A white man will build it on 2 acres. But the quality of what they will teach you in that 2 acre school. I walked past UCL. I have worked with UCL before. UCL is University College London. It was ranked number 5 in the whole world in 2007. So I was working with a professor that time as a consultant. And I was walking one day behind UCL. And I looked at a building in the UCL. And I saw Charles Darwin. This is the office of Charles Darwin. The man, the Darwin man, the man that wrote the evolution theory. I said, this man's office, very small office like this. The man is dead now. The Darwin's theory has lasted decades. Decades and decades and decades. How many theories have you heard that have been propounded by any Nigerian professor? How many of them? That is on the lips of everybody in the world. In spite of the 500 acres that will be done. So, you see, societal transformation is not dependent on size. Many of these things that they do, the size mentality is driven by greed and an opportunity to steal money. So that they can say, oh, we have one project there, we want to build, and they'll be collecting money and wasting money. And so the students are at the receiving end of these things. They bombard them with all kinds of courses that are irrelevant. They come out of the school and they are not useful for anybody. They go to Shell will retrain them for 2 years. Banks are using them as tellers, as cashiers. You see a lawyer, a guy, a lady as a lawyer, is a lawyer, a man, they put him on the counter as a cashier. And she has spent 6 years in the university, 1 year in the law school. So the university system must be revamped. Part of these things have been championed by many of these university professors. They go on strike all the time, and they want the government to improve the facilities. But many of them are not actually doing. Wow, Sister Fumi. Wow. So many of them are actually doing nothing to ensure that they go very deep and change the value system of our universities. What kind of courses are you teaching students? Are they comparable? When I give assignments, when I give reports, essays to PhD students in Nigeria, they will go to Wikipedia, and copy and paste. I said, what nonsense is this? So when I give people assignments, go and do a proposal for me, I will now put instruction there. You must not copy and paste. I will write that thing, I will bolding it, underline it, very big. When you open my message, you will see it very big. Please, do not copy and paste. Do not go to Wikipedia. Please, your work must not be plagiarized every time. PhD students, master's graduates, and they will still do it. I will tell them I have a software on my system. It's a plagiarism detection software. It's a computer software. It doesn't tell lie. It doesn't know tribe. It doesn't know any church. It will catch you. They will still send me documents with plagiarized sources. I said, what is wrong with these people? And I said, oh my God, they have been doing it in the university for years. Nothing was done. So there is no structure, no system to train them that plagiarism can even lead to expulsion. In any university that is serious-minded, you cannot plagiarize. They expel you. When I was doing my MBA, many years back, when I was doing my MBA, there was one Indian guy that we did our MBA together. On the last day of our school, the last course, we did like 13 courses, or 14, I can't remember, 12 or 13 courses, about 12 courses. On the last course, this guy just plagiarized. Not all the 10 courses, the 11th course. He just did an exam, or a report, and he copied a source, and he didn't reference it. They invited this guy to a panel. We were all praying. The guy was crying. They sat in the panel with white British professors, and they expelled him. The guy cried. The guy begged, said, no, it is the standard of this university. The 10 courses he has done, they did not look at it. The last course, they expelled him. I nearly cried. To do an MBA was an extremely difficult thing. He cost that guy £15,000 as at that time. £15,000. Everything wiped off. All through his life, he will never plagiarize again. And so these are the things that draw out value in students and make them to take things seriously. I have worked with many of them, being an academic myself. So what I'm telling you is a practical experience I've had. And I'm still having it today. I'm not telling you what happened last year. I'm still having it today. All the people I employ to work for me, I'll be asking them, don't they teach you how to type letter? All kinds of grammatical errors. So are these the people that will be producers? You cannot produce a 200-word essay excellently and you want to produce machine. It doesn't work that way. Like will always beget like. You cannot produce above your quality. And so the university system and college system is a major avenue for the raising of producers. And not just producers by lips, people who are quality, that have been trained. The lectures, how many Nigerian students are trained to present? Many people will be calling me to teach them how to present. I wasn't trained to present. When I went to South Africa, I was trained to present. They will break you into groups. Your group must present on Monday. You must stand in front of the whole class. So we learned the art of time management, of presentation, of public speaking. How many times have you gone to any Nigerian university and students are presenting and they are doing assignments and they are not projects, no project now, normal class assignment, normal one. You must present dozens of times. By the time you spend 5 years in university, you are presented like 30 times. You will be so good. So when you want to produce a product finally, you have mastered the art of public speaking. You have mastered the art of time management. You have mastered the art of writing, of presentation, of organization. So when that guy comes out of Oxford University, he's a super producer. That is one of the problems that has caused the decay that we are seeing today. Millions of graduates, you cannot count 20% of them that are of high quality. Because I passed through the same system. I passed through the same system. I did not see one computer. I did not use computer one day. 5 years engineering. I finished an engineering course. I did not see one computer. When they lecture us in the class, they be talking shafts, the thyroid, mechanism of machine, crank rocker mechanism. We were imagining it. Is it long? Is it a tree? Is it a ball? We didn't know anything. I would just memorize those things, go to lecture room, pour them down, get 60%, 80%, and made a 2-1, and the 2-1 means nothing, is zero. When I now left university, I started looking for friends who had computer in their offices to train me. I started learning Microsoft Word. This is control, this is paste, this is copy, this is select. You want to save a document, go to file, click on save as. I learned it myself. I didn't see computer one day in 5 years. One day. And that has changed now because many of the private universities now, they have computers now. But in my own time, more than 20 years ago, there was no computer. It was only the HOD that had a big computer, big one. All these old computers that they were using. That is why we can't be producers. Somebody who does not even know how a computer looks, how will he produce? Production now is not something people do, and they use their hand. Everything is AutoCAD, auto manufacturing, 3D, 2D. The world is moving at a jet speed now. You don't produce things by drawing them with your hand. Everything is done. CorelDRAW, advanced software, all kinds of software that are being used now. You just need to speak to somebody who is a software designer, developer. He will do all the coding for you and go into computer, and everything will be programmed. And then this is my product. So it's a big problem we have in our hand. And you and I, we must continue to speak out and raise a general awareness. Our university systems are in states of comatose. States of comatose. What the students know best to do is to dress to kill, to wear dresses that expose their bodies, to do occultism, to take their father's vehicle and to take it to school, load the cars with girls, drive around town, go to cafes, drink themselves to stupor. That is what they are doing. Are these the generation that will be a producer? Are these the people that will, when they are met in Japan, they are met in China, they are developing components of airplane, they are writing computer programs, selling them to Microsoft, to there. All the guys working in Silicon Valley in the US, small, young boys. I worked as a consultant for a bank in North America sometimes ago. So anytime we went to the meeting, because as a consultant, every week you must meet twice to provide the updates of your report. All the people that they are referring to, this one is the director, this one is the GM, this one is the vice president, young boys, 35, 37, vice president of a company. When I saw their VPs, and you know the way they would dress, they just wear a t-shirt, wear a jeans, and wear a very informal shoe. And sometimes we go into the rooms, there are 7 chairs there, I am sitting down, others are sitting down, the vice president walks in, and you're standing up for him. He said, no, please sit down. They have not born you. In my own place where I came from, you are sitting down. They have not born you. The vice president of the bank is coming, you are sitting down. Even if he's telling you to stand up, you are in trouble. 40-year-old young man, 35-year-old young men, vice president, directors of banks. I have worked with so many of them. Vice presidents. less than 1% of the African community in America, in Canada, in England are vice presidents of companies. That 1% is too much. The best I have seen is people starting their own businesses, starting your own farm, your own hospital, or being manager. When you are a vice president, you are next to the president of the company, of the whole company. Those guys had put in like 15, 20 years in their work. So if he's a VP now and he's 40 and he has 20 years work experience, that means he joined that company at age 20. And at age 20, an average Nigerian is still struggling to pass exam to enter university. He has written it twice and he's still looking for how to combine English with maths. I failed English this year. I passed maths next year. I'm going to do physics the third year. And they're still struggling. So that kind of environment cannot produce producers. Cannot produce producers. And that's why any right-thinking leader must come together and say, what can we do? We cannot allow this. If our own generation is wasted, these people must not waste. All of my friends that left Nigeria at 21, at 20, they are all vice presidents and directors of companies in the US. I'm talking about multinational companies, Coca-Cola, Dell, big corporations. All of them that left at 20, 21, that their parents had money or they struggled and they left. And they went into sound universities, University of Michigan, MIT, and they went there. Within 1-2 years, they finished their course, they have gotten a job at Microsoft, and their lives have changed. Because the university system in those countries, they train leaders, they raise them as leaders. So I have a passion for education, and I just wish God will open the eyes of our leaders or change them and bring you and I into the vanguard of leadership. The number 5 thing that can be done in 2018. Many African countries have a lot of rich entrepreneurs. How many times have you heard that someone who made a first class in a university, they are using his face to advertise in Nigeria now, MTN products? How many times have you heard that a bank in Nigeria is using their money free of charge to sponsor 20 people who made first class in a particular field to go to America to study free of charge? They will not do it. But when a skimpy dressing lady that is singing songs that are polluting people, when one guy that is having a Rastafarian hair that is writing songs that are polluting people with all kind of silly lyrics, when he approaches the bank, they grab him immediately because the society celebrates immorality. The society celebrates immorality. They don't celebrate diligence and hard work. And so when you promote immorality, you sponsor it, you are giving other people every excuse not to celebrate education. So why will a young man want to go to school and make a first class? They don't celebrate it anyway. So everybody wants to be a musician in Nigeria. Every young person wants to be a musician. Every young person wants to be a comedian. Every young person wants to act and be an actor, an actress. Everybody wants to appear on the TV because it is the people appearing on TV that the big banks, that the rich people are celebrating. So any culture that celebrates a particular profession above the other can never produce producers in a commensurate manner, in a balanced manner. So everybody drops their certificate now and they are going into acting and movie production. Every Nigerian young man is a producer. Everybody is a producer. My own movie industry. And when you watch the movies, they produce rubbish and nonsense. They produce rubbish and nonsense. By the time you start watching the movie, you see one man that is crying in his room. And he's crying. And he's crying. And he opens his phone. You can guess what is happening. He has just been jilted. The next thing you will see is that the man will go to an herbalist. They're like, oh, your friend has jilted you. I will do something for you. You will predict the movie 1 hour before they start, and it will end the same way. Because everybody is a movie producer. People have master's degree. People are lawyers. People, they are all in movie industry. The people that have read drama, read artists, they are not even as motivated as those that have read engineering, because the society has been designed as, whether it is deliberate or not, I don't know, it has been designed to celebrate mediocrity, to celebrate immorality, and to promote division. You focus on one career path, celebrate them, and the other people, you relegate them. Any course you do in America, you can be a millionaire. Any profession you have in Canada, you can be a millionaire. They celebrate everybody. We were about to buy a property 2 years ago, and we wanted somebody to come into the house and do an assessment. Is the plumbing work doing fine? And the toilet system working fine? And the guy is an assessor. What he does is the work of like a plumber. And the guy said he's going to collect $400 per hour from us. I said, what? He said $400 plumber. So he's going to spend like 3 hours in our house. And I asked him, what do you do? He said he does that to about 4 or 5 houses every day. So when he finishes with us, he will go to another house, check the house. So there is a program they have to do, like a 3-month course, and they will be trained as property assessors. That is a career path, property assessor. So I'm going to pay him $1,200, and he's going to do it for 4 or 5 houses in a day, not in a week. In a week, the guy will make $10,000 assessing toilets. So the white man has so much created division of labor. Everybody is celebrated. There is dignity in every labor. They don't promote medicine above fishery. They don't promote law above acting. Everybody has equal access. You go to the bank, apply for loan, regardless of your profession. That is the society that produces producers. That is the society that produces producers, not in our country. I've had many friends that have approached banks with very laudable projects. They won't fund it. If they will fund it, they will give you neck-cracking, neck-breaking interest on your loan. 30% loan, 30% interest rate, and they will tell you it is compound interest. You fail to pay the next month, the money compounds. It compounds. By the time it is the 6th month, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. And they will just abandon their project and be running around to look for money to pay the bank back their money. So you go to the city. I have never seen a billboard with the face of the most brilliant mathematician in Nigeria. I have never seen it. I have never seen a billboard with the face of the girl that became the youngest lawyer at the age of 21. And all the billboards in the country, never. It is only actresses, only Rastafarian singers, only half-dressed naked women that they put there. That is to tell you the kind of value systems of the owners of those businesses. Long-term orientation in Nigeria is 13%. People living in Nigeria, they love quick results. A research finding. So, if we must become producers, if we must raise a new generation of Steve Jobs, of Warren Buffett, of Mark Zuckerberg, of Bill Gates, all of those great guys, everybody must be celebrated and must have equal rights for anything that any other person gets. The dignity of labor must be ingrained and entrenched. The principles of dignity of labor must be ingrained and entrenched in the heart of everybody. And the government must back it up with law. If I apply for any loan to fund any project in my profession, in any bank in this country, and they refuse me on grounds that they don't sponsor people like me, they're in trouble. I'll just pick my phone, call a government office and report them. They're in trouble. They won't try it. Even if they don't want to give me, they mustn't tell me that they don't sponsor people like me, they are sponsoring artists. You cannot say so. That is discrimination, and I will take you to court. So you have a lot of young people coming out with first class. From University of Ife, they made under first class. From Unilag, they made under first class. You will never find any of these people supported by anybody. They are just thrown it. I nearly cried. Sometimes around September, I read a story in the newspaper. A lady that made first class, she looked for a job for 2 years. She didn't get a job. She now went to make a placard and was walking on the road. I made a first class. Please give me a job. I said this country is finished. This country, first class. So why do you think many other people will go and struggle? Do you know what it means, what it costs to have a first class? Why shouldn't I get a tutu? If a first class, we have to take a placard and be begging for job. Then that's why I have to wait for 2 years too and do the same thing too. Until that girl did that, the whole nation now became embarrassed and they started calling her for interview. That is just one person out of thousands of first class that come out every year. Because all the private investors, all the banks, all the rich people, all the billionaires, they do not have any value system in investing in credible achievements, credible and laudable achievements, celebrating science and technology, celebrating innovation, celebrating first class. That will create a widespread value system orientation. Every young man will want to make first class because they want to be celebrated like his friend. But when they are disregarded, they don't talk about them, they don't show them on TV. Everybody will dust the certificate, glaze them, and go to acting. And how much are they paying them in acting? They go to acting, they do all kind of things. So any sane government will begin to put policy in place, corporate social responsibility policies that will force all these banks. Out of 10 people you are going to fund this year, you funded Two-Face last year. That's enough. In the next 5 years, you must fund and put on your billboard 10 first class. 2 from the north, 2 from the east, 2 from the south, 3 from the southwest. Just make sure. In the next 3 years, you must fund, anybody that has not gone to school, who is creative, who is a genius, and is from a poor family, you must put his image. And they give them incentive. If you do it, we will waive your tax. Instead of paying 10% to the government, you pay 2%. So the companies will be motivated and they will start sponsoring all those genius. Everybody will want to make first class. You see your friend on the billboard, he made the first class. If you are on a 2-1 and you are in your part 4, go to part 5, you will double up effort. I must get first class. The way my friend is showing, they are showing his face on TV, on radio. This thing will provoke a natural appetite for excellence and brilliance. Everybody will be competing to be the best in the country. But now everybody is competing to release the first movie, the best movie. And all the movies, they have very stupid and useless storylines. Sometimes I want to watch crime. I love watching detective movies. Detective movies, a crime movie. There's a crime and a police is invested. I love those movies. And I go on YouTube and I'll be searching and searching and searching. After like 20 minutes, I just stop. I just look for a message and I listen to a message. Everything is trash. It's either somebody has jilted somebody. There is a mother-in-law that doesn't want the wife to stay in the house of the man because she doesn't have a child. Or there is a very wicked man that can kill everybody. Or I can break all their movie into 5 categories. And you can bet it with me. Every movie coming out will fit each one of this category. Because the people that are doing it, they are doing it because they have nothing else to do. This last one I want to say is very controversial. Not last one, but I want to say it. Our churches. How can our churches, our rich churches, how can they support the development of producers, of innovators? You think they can't do it? They can. They have the money. I wouldn't have been concerned about the church if the church was doing a lot. The church has done a lot, but there is still a lot that is not done. Now, we have the freedom of information in the country. No government has the capacity to force any church to do anything. So we have to speak within the ambit of law. global best practice, the government cannot compel a church to fund something. You can't do it. You can compel a church to pay tax. You can compel a church to do their books and do accounting or whatever, but you can't tell a church, take your money and you must sponsor. You cannot do it. It has to come out of their heart. We wouldn't have gotten to this level if the church is doing what she do. Normally speaking, the church should be a kingdom hub, releasing kingdom diplomats and raising them. The church should be a tool to influence society. The church is not the end of the kingdom. The church should be a tool for spreading the kingdom. But what we have in place now, like I said 3 days ago, virtually all the churches that we have in Africa, in Nigeria, virtually all our fathers, majority of them, if not all of them, they see their church as the kingdom of God. So my program, my church, our expansion, our building, our conference, our seminar. So they pump all their money to those things, thinking that this is the kingdom of God. As long as I do more programs, I do more crusades, but that is a portion of the kingdom of God. The society is part of the kingdom of God. The poor people are part of the kingdom of God. Every part of the society in this world is part of the kingdom. So the church is a tool for implementing kingdom agenda. The church itself is not the end of the kingdom. So when you have that mindset, you will stop at the church, the physical building and the people inside. So an average church in Nigeria averagely has 2,000, 3,000 members. In most of those churches, more than 60%, if not more, and be very fair now, are poor or struggling, jobless, poor, hopeless. So the church has millions, billions, schools, universities, hospitals, all kind of projects that are going on. Money is coming in. The only thing the church is doing, pray for the people, release blessing on them, go home and solve your problem. Come on Sunday again, give all your money, God will bless you, He will open door, receive grace, receive anointing, go home, come back. And then second month, third month, bring your offering, give a seed, the Lord will bless you, open door for you, you can go home, expect that miracle, and the same cycle. So I now have friends who have been on the same spot for 25 years in the same church, and they have been eating grace, they have been eating anointing, they have been giving, and their life is worse off. Worse off. I have personal friends like that. Their life is worse off. How do you think the church? I've done an extensive seminar on this on the 27th edition or something. It was explosive. So I won't go deep into that area. What do you think the government can do to motivate the church to use their money to deliberately sponsor people in the church free of charge and sponsor innovation and creativity? The rich church, the churches that have the money, and you know they have the money. I have an idea here. There are a group of people that the church presently sponsors. Some musicians have emerged from some churches that the church actually sponsor them and help them. But let me ask you a question. What is the proportion of impact that music has to do in a nation for national transformation? What is the impact of music on hospital and medical facilities? What is the impact of music on road? What is the impact of music on technology? So you see a church that is rich. We have produced 10 world-class singers. We have produced this person. This person has watched an album. They are singing his song all over the world. After they have finished singing his song, after 10 minutes, what happened to them when they get back home? Do they meet food in their homes? Can they send their children to school? Are they creating businesses? Are they producers? No. So what music does is to satisfy the soul, is to give you fun. Music gives you fun. It satisfies your soul. When you come out of that frenzy of music and you stop the music, you return to your original condition. So if there's no food in your stomach and you have danced to a good music, after you have finished dancing, your stomach still remains hungry. It therefore means that music is not a major consideration at all. for developing society. Music is a social concept. It has nothing to do with societal development. I'm speaking about the tools that build societies. I'm not saying music is not good. I'm not saying it's not nice. It's very good, very nice. But when you look for the most important tools for changing a nation, music is not the first on the list. Why is it not possible for the government to motivate our churches? Why do we give them incentives? I don't know. Create policies to help them? I don't know. And encourage the churches to deliberately take out of their money and sponsor people in the church. Spend money on them and build them up. You can do it for 5 people in a year. If that is your capacity, you can do it for 10 people or for 3 people. Every year, every church member is applying to join that move because the pastor is taking 3 people to England every year and sponsoring them to go to a science school. Because the pastor is sponsoring somebody to go to Russia to learn this technology. That is part of the church social responsibility. So the church, the Christians in Nigeria are about 85 million people. So 85 million people are in thousands of churches. Now imagine if out of the 85 million, let's assume we have 5,000 churches. I'm not sure. Let's say we have 10,000 churches. And there are 5,000 rich churches. 5,000 of them, and each of them sponsor 10 people every year. 20 people. And they make them to be creators of businesses. I'm not saying selling pure water. I'm not saying open a shop and selling drinks. You are not creating anything. You are using what others have created. I'm speaking of creating original products and services that will be branded in the name of that person. You know what is happening? Instead of the church to do this, the church to do it for people, the church is doing it in its own name. That is the problem we have now. Many of the people that are going into starting of colleges and universities, they could have done it through many of their members in the church. You are called into education. You are a faithful brother. You are loyal to us. Let's form an agreement. The church will have an MOU with you. You are going to manage this school. We'll fund it. When you are able to open a second branch, you will take over the first branch. The church takes the second branch and gives that one to another person. And then we bring a lawyer in that will sign it. All the money coming in, take 60%, the remaining 40%, put it in an account so we can use that money to help other people in the church who have that vision. You are in medicine. You are a faithful brother. We're going to give you 20 million. Go and look for a place. Rent that place up. Start a clinic. Go to America. Go and do a 3-month course. And look for new drugs, new innovation, and come back to Nigeria. You are into this. And they create that kind of projects every year. Do you think that country will remain the same? So I am not putting the whole blame on the church. I am not putting the whole blame on the government. But the church is the light of the world. The African society has not benefited from the church beyond the realm of supernatural and spiritual. That is a known fact. I still discuss the same thing with the man of God today. The African society has not benefited anything above the supernatural. Healing, deliverances, and salvation, which are very good, very important, and very fundamental. But after people have become converted, do they die immediately? God still leaves them in the world for another 50 years. If after giving a life to Christ, God kills all of us and takes us home, then the church has done amazingly well. But God knows that you are still left in the same world to dominate that world, to develop that world. And so he has left us behind, and Jesus has said, occupy till I come. So you and I still have dozens of years, hundreds of years to live in this world. So the church cannot just heal people, save them, and abandon them. The work of the church is not just within the 4 walls. It goes beyond the 4 walls. And I was talking to a pastor, a senior pastor a few days back. he was telling me the same thing. He said the church knows nothing about using their money to invest in people. They don't do it. Nigerian church doesn't do it. They believe you should use your money to invest in them. It is something that we need to pray that God will speak and talk to our leaders. They believe that the only benefit you have is to receive grace, receive prayer, receive anointing. After that, nothing. So until we get to a point, pastors will write a check and deliberately promote members and push them into society. You are not my property. If you like, come back. If you like, don't come back. At least when you set up this business, you employ people and unemployment will reduce. Until we have pastors who think like that, the criticism against the church will not stop. People will still keep complaining. Unbelievers will keep rubbishing us. Because giving your life to Christ is not your work. The easiest thing to do in this world, is to get people born again. Because you are not the one doing it. It is the Holy Spirit converting people. Your own job is to witness. One man came to Kenneth Hagin many years back, and said, I want you to convince me that Jesus Christ is Lord. Kenneth Hagin said, Jesus did not tell me to go about convincing people. He said, go and preach the gospel. Can you imagine that? The man said, convince me. So as a pastor, the work is preach. That 1 million people have become born again is not attributed to your efforts. The Bible says no man can say that Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. So you can preach, you can shout. If they will not be born again, they will be born again. So getting people healed is not your work. We are not responsible for healing. Nobody can heal anybody. I am speaking about people who are using the power of God now, not people who have gone to Satan to collect power. So that you have prayed for 1 million people and 1 million blinders have been opened. Yeah, I'm a big man of God. I have healed people. You didn't heal anybody. You prayed in the name of Jesus. Jesus healed them. So it is easier to pray for people to be healed than to go into your bank account and withdraw 100 million and give them to bless them and to make them producers. That is the problem we have. It is easier. Our pastors find it easier. How many hours does it take to pray? God bless you. You are blessed. Receive it in Jesus' name. And I carry my Bible and I go home. That is a very easy thing to do. But to go to my account and take money and say, I will sponsor 20 people here to Japan. Go and learn how to harvest cassava and turn it to 10 products in one day. We are doing it for 10 days now. Go and learn how to make it more efficient and come back to Nigeria and set up hundreds of cassava plantations using industrial equipment, and the church put their money, give it to them, send them abroad. It is receive the grace. The Lord will open the door, but the money is sitting down in the bank. That is the problem we have. So until we get to a point, we can get our leaders to understand the other dimension of the gospel. That the gospel is not just about salvation alone. It is called the gospel of the kingdom, a total package gospel that deals with people's social life, people's spiritual life, people's emotional life, society, a comprehensive 360-degree gospel. That is called the gospel of the kingdom. Until we understand that and our fathers and leaders embrace that, the country, the continent, the unbelievers will continue to hurl insults on the church, and they are justified. And they are justified. Even me myself, I can't defend our fathers. I can't defend them because these things are facts. They are fact. They are fact. The only accomplishment that we have is building, enlargement, expansion, building, enlargement, expansion, big building, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, auditorium, enlargement, building, convention. That is the only thing that society knows. So how do we develop a new generation of producers? How do we develop producers, young men and women whose only agenda is to develop new things? When they are not encouraged, they will not do it. When they are not encouraged, they will not do it. So the church has a lot of role to play. I quoted a research finding a few days back. The United Nations projected that for a nation to be working, the minimum level of productivity is 20%. The minimum level. The minimum level of productivity in any nation is 20%. For that nation to be working, that there is light, there is water, to work at minimum level, 20%, that is 20 out of 100 people must be working and working hard and creating things. The remaining 80 may not work. They came to Nigeria and they said 0.2% of Nigerians are working. 0.2%. The minimum level is 20%. In Britain, they have 55%. America, 55%. They came to Nigeria and said 0.2. They now ask the question, where are all the youths? What do they do? They are all going to church meetings. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everybody that's a Christian, not the Muslims now, the Christians, they are either attending church meetings or going to comedy houses or going to or enjoy life. Or enjoy lives. It's only 0.2% of Nigerians. That is less than one, are actually working hard and producing things. So the minimum is like saying the poverty line is $1 and everybody is living below $1. That's what it means. 0.2%. So how do we become producers? We forever depend on China, on Japan. Everything that we are using, that we are using are being produced. Our computer systems, we don't produce them. Our cars, we don't produce them. Our clothes, we don't produce them. Our canned foods, all the flakes that we eat, cornflakes, everything is imported. We don't produce them. Light bulb, pressing iron, switches, adapters, all electrical gadgets, we don't produce them. Grinding machine, printing machine, agricultural machine, oil and gas equipment, hospital equipment, all the tubes, all the equipment, all the syringes, we don't produce them. All our kitchen equipment, microwave, fridge, spoons, even our plates, we buy those plates from China, we don't produce them. All our paints, our brushes, our rods, aluminium, majority of them, we don't produce them. Because 0.2% of the population are only working. 0.2. The rest of them, 85 million Christians in the country, are scattered across different churches, where a vast majority of them are being exploited, manipulated, deceived. We thank God for the few servants of God in Nigeria that are doing great things. Few of them. The vast majority are abusing and manipulating people. So when they said 0.2% of Nigeria is working, how can that country be a producer? It will forever depend on China, on Japan, on Russia, on America. So what will a sane and a sound thinking government do? They will look for how to elevate that percentage. 0.2 is a shame. 0.2%. Let's push it up to 10% in the next 5 years. All the things that make people know to work, enable environment, university system, they will push everything up, improve quality, train all the lecturers. Again, if you have to go to Oxford and Harvard and bring all the professors that have 50 years teaching experience, bring them to Nigeria to retrain all the professors, all the other younger, and train them. This is how people are taught in universities in the world. This is how you lecture, and force that thing on them. They will revolt, they will shout, they will raise, they will riot, they will go on strike. This is an insult. We won't agree, but the government will impose it on them. If you like, do not do it. Because we have given them opportunity for years. The country is collapsing. They will just come to class, give the class rep an handout. The class mark is 30% for handout. Attendance is 30%. My subject is 20%. And your exam is this. And the student will buy the materials, copy themselves, tell their friend that I'm traveling to London, help me write my attendance when I'm away. And the student pass, get first class. And we say, where's the first class? And when they get abroad, they can't do anything. They have to start training them all over again. Nigerian doctors are never allowed to practice anywhere in the world without going through training. Coming to Canada, nurses must do training. Two major exams. 2 major exams as a nurse. You can't practice. Even if you have 50 years work experience in Nigeria. Doctors must write that exam and pass the exam. Why is that so? Because they don't trust the quality of our certificates. All of these things come together to produce, to determine whether a country will be full of producers or consumers. So it's not just coming on TV and reading a memo. We are going to be the best in the next 20 years. This thing is not, it doesn't respond to rhetorics and using sweet languages and using political slangs according to Martin Luther King, according to all those things we have been hearing them for years. Nothing has been produced. The spoon and the plate, the ceramic plate we use, look at the back, made in China. It's a shame on the nation. Spoon and plates produced in China. Even the socks that we are wearing, the socks produced in Turkey, in Singapore. And that is the sad commentary. Today is the 30th of December. I don't pray to come back here next year and say the same thing at the same time. I don't pray to come back. But if nothing is done among all the things we are hearing, if every one of us keeps quiet and nothing is done, everybody is just going to be following his own destiny. Say, Lord, let me carry my children and my family and leave that country and go to America. Even toothpick. Can you imagine? Toothpick. Thank you, my sister. Even toothpick. That is what I'm saying. When it comes to the matter of church, it's a very emotional thing. And if the president is a Muslim, anything he says about the church, hey, is compromising. When the president brought in a man who wanted to do a document, a project that will allow churches to be accountable, everybody revolted. Because the president is a Muslim, he was very careful. And they turned that matter to Islamic agenda. It's an Islamic agenda. The president has an Islamization agenda. So he wants to silence our mouths. In the country where I am today, every year, I must submit the account statement of our church to the government. Otherwise, they close us down. I must submit it. They check our books. They will send auditors to the church to check the books of the church. They will check. You must file your account. Show your account statement to the church. How much was collected? What did you spend the money on? It's a must. Otherwise, they suspend you and they shut you down. And that obtains in England, the UK Charity Commission, in America, and in all civilized society. It's only in our country where we are in the age of anything goes. Anything goes. So anything the government is doing, they will put the coloration of Islamic agenda to it. And so the man is very careful. He has been accused many times of planning to put Nigeria in OIC. So many African countries that have Muslim presidents, they are always very careful. They are always very careful. There are many things the government, if it was to be a Christian country, and the president is a Christian, if it was to be a country being ruled by a Christian, the man could have done some policies making it impossible for churches to hold extended services. If a Christian president is making a law against a church, they will not be able to say anything. How can you ask people to come to church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? No. But if a Muslim does it, there will be a problem. There will be a problem. And then because there is freedom of information, freedom of movement in the country's constitution, you can't stop people from coming to a church. You can go anywhere you like, as long as you're not breaking any law. So it's a very sensitive issue that must be managed very well. And so that's a big problem we have in our hand. The church has done very good things. I know the church has done a lot of great things, a lot of good things. But in terms of societal transformation, the church scored 2%. Extremely poor mark. Poor. Everything that has been done is within the four walls of the church. Win souls to Christ, brilliant and great. That's our number one commission. Healings and deliverances, beautiful. We all need it. But that is just within the four walls of the church. Society is worse off. Is worse off. And so, this is the 30th edition. The generation that will produce cannot do it by themselves. They are very vulnerable. They are very weak. They have been cheated. They have been debased. They are not celebrated. All the rich people, they don't celebrate them. Nobody put them on billboard. The churches don't sponsor them. They don't fund them. The government doesn't fund them. There are no scholarships. There are no student loan. Those things are not there. So all of these things have to come into place before the new era can emerge in Africa and Nigeria. You can't wake up in the morning and produce airplane. You need money. You need technology. You need knowledge to do all these things. And if you do not have a backbone to do it, you cannot do it. So what will happen is we continue to import toothpick, import socks, import food, import clothes, import everything. The day the oil and gas dry up, then the country will be in serious problem. And everything that uses oil now, they are finding replacement to it. They are doing hydro. They have done solar. Coal is being done. And there is a report that in the next 5 to 10 years, the United Kingdom, they are phasing out petrol. So UK will not buy petrol from all these countries, and they will reduce, they can still be using some of the fractions, some of the things, some of the byproducts, but petrol, they want to phase it out. So all the people supplying fuel and supplying crude oil to UK, they'll be in big trouble. Because once the demand collapses and the supply is still the same, they will be forced to crash the price to $10 or $5 per barrel. And the country will be in trouble. Even when the money is coming in the highest proportion, they are owing salaries, they are not paying teachers, they are owing pensioners. Imagine now when the prices have been reduced, they have been forced to reduce the prices to $5 because nobody is buying fuel again. The country will be in big trouble. So any sound thinking government must know that there is no time at all. We have run out of time. There's no time. There is no time. Immigration will still be on the rise. Everybody in Nigeria still wants to leave that country. Nobody wants to be used as an experiment. I have to wait for the next 30 years until Nigeria changes. You will just die in poverty. So everybody is making their own way out of the country. So to solve that problem, the country needs to double up proactively. Proactively, we need sound leaders, creative leaders, transformational leaders, leaders who love people, who love progression, who love progress. And that is a tall order. That is a tall order. Because the present crop of leaders we have in Nigeria, they are predators. They are predators. They are predators. All they are looking for, all they are concerned about is their own belly, is their own pocket, is their own children, their own family. They don't have any iota of love for the common man. So, but we still have to continue to speak. We have to continue to speak. Because what we are saying now, many young people are hearing them, and they are being changed. Some of us are going to start universities. I pray that God gives us the money, give me the grace to start universities that will be an example to the African continent in terms of helping the poor to go to school almost free of charge, and in terms of producing graduates that will compete with Harvard and Oxford. It's a vision. Some of us have that vision. I believe you have your own vision too. Maybe you want to start an hospital, start a clinic, start a movement. You want to take care of widows, take care of lepers, take care of derelicts. Everybody has a vision. Don't give up your vision as we go to 2018. Maybe you and I will be the next generation or the last generation that will salvage the destiny of millions of these people. Many of them, their hands are in shackles. They have bound their hands. Their mouth is closed. They have been brainwashed. They have been debased. They cannot talk. They cannot complain. They don't have visa. They don't have money. Maybe you are the one God will use. Maybe I'm not God will use to start a social movement. Start hospitals that will be funded by WHO. And all the poor people can go to hospital and have operations free of charge. And in 1 year, you have treated 10,000 people free of charge. That will promote long life. People will not be dying at 42, at 41 again. Life expectancy will improve. So when you are doing your own in the medical field, I am doing my own in the educational field. Somebody else that's in social care, building houses for old people. In the Western world, they take care of old people. When you are old, they put you in a particular home. Care workers go there. They take care of them. The government pays them. They give them food. If you find one of them, maybe one, maybe something small in our country. Old people are allowed to roam about the street. Some of them are branded as witches. Many of them, the problem they have is dementia. When they have dementia, they will say, oh, this thing has come again. It is witchcraft. And they begin to stone them. If they don't stone them, they drag them to churches. They do all kind of unimaginable things to them. They abuse them. They lock them up. Their parents, their children are severed from them. Mama is a witch. She's in the village. But the woman is suffering from dementia. But because there is no technology, no knowledge in the society to understand that when people get old, they behave funny, they hallucinate, they speak, they don't remember it. They say things, they remember them. Nobody cares about them. So maybe you have that vision and God has put it in your heart. I want you to nurture it and make sure that vision is not dead, it's not lost. It can be done, it can be achieved. Your own vision, my own vision, everybody else's vision, put together and implanted in that society will drive us from the stage of being producers, from being consumers to the state of being producers. And in less than 10 years, our country will be able to compete with the best in the world. We can do it. You can do it. I want you to catch a vision. We are ending this thing tomorrow. I want you to catch a vision. Catch a vision. I want to be a producer. I want to leave my name in the sand, my name in the sand print of life. I want to leave an indelible mark. When I am gone, I want them to write something, an epitaph on my gravestone. When I am 90 and I have gone, the man who changed the face of medicine, the man who brought development and creativity into the face of education, the man who housed, or the woman who housed 1 million widows and fed them free of charge, the woman who provided medical care for all women suffering from dementia, 1 million of them in southeast of this country, and they wrote it on a tombstone. Generations to come will continue to celebrate you. That is what is called posterity. And posterity is forever superior to prosperity. I believe that we will get there in no good time. If you and I, if we embrace this change, we embrace this value system, and we continue to trust God and see ourselves as kingdom diplomats who have been sent into the world to immerse the world into the culture of the kingdom, into the love of the kingdom, into the compassion of the kingdom, and everything that the kingdom of God has to offer our world. Thank you so much for listening to me this evening. I want to leave you, and thank you very much. It's been very, very, very powerful. I believe you have heard and learned so much. Without you listening to me, I'll be speaking to empty screen. Please help me share this link on your timeline. It's going to bless someone. It's going to touch someone. Maybe a leader, maybe a governor is going to watch it later on. Nobody knows. And it's going to catch a vision. Please help me share this timeline. That is the only thing I need from you. Help me share it on your timeline so others can learn from it. Just click the word share and it's going to go viral. These messages are going into my YouTube profile, Word Ablaze. Word Ablaze. And we want to put it on WhatsApp as well and broadcast it. And next year, by the grace of God, all these 31 series will come out as a book. National Value System Reorientation. And it's going to be explosive. And I trust God to give us life, to give us long life too. Tomorrow is the last day. It's going to be powerful. I'm not going to make it 6 p.m. tomorrow because of our crossover services in our churches. 1 p.m. tomorrow, we're going to have the last edition of Value System Change Agenda. Thank you so much. God bless you, everybody. Brother Yomi, Brother Minike, Stai, everybody. God bless you so much. Sister Fumi, I love you all. Brother Wale, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a sweet night rest in the name of Jesus.